The rain fell hard against the metal walls of the outpost. Wind howled through the empty corridors like a living thing. Dr. Marcus Hale was alone in the medical wing, staring at his notes when the emergency alert flashed across the screen. Unidentified. Female life-form critical condition shoreline coordinates attached. Marcus grabbed his coat and medkit without thinking. The shoreline was over 2 kilometers away, and in this storm, it would take time. But the words critical condition made him move faster. Outside, the night was dark and wild. Waves crashed against the rocky coast, throwing salt water into the air. His boots sank into the wet sand as he fought against the wind. Somewhere ahead, lit only by the blue glow of his wrist lamp, he saw a figure lying near the tide pools. At first, he thought it was just another casualty of the storm. But as he came closer, he froze. It was a girl, at least. She looked like one. Her skin was pale with a faint shimmer, like moonlight on water. Her hair, long and tangled with bits of seaweed, clung to her face. She was breathing fast, but each breath seemed painful. "Hey, can you hear me?" Marcus knelt beside her. Her eyes opened slowly, and for a moment, he felt a shock run through him. They weren't human eyes. They were deep blue, with vertical slits like a predator's. They looked straight into him, full of fear and something else. A plea. Then he saw it. Her lower abdomen shifted. No, it moved. Something under her skin writhed and curled, like small arms or tendrils, pressing outward for a second before sinking back. Marcus's medical training made him focus, but his human instincts whispered danger. "Don't touch," she whispered, her voice weak and trembling. Not safe. But she was fading fast. Her body shivered violently, and her lips were turning pale. He knew that if he didn't act now, she might not survive the next hour. "I have to move you," he said, ignoring the warning in her eyes. He slid his arms under her, careful not to put pressure on her abdomen. The moment he lifted her, he felt something strange, a faint movement through her body, like a pulse, but deeper and aware. It almost felt as if whatever was inside her knew it was being moved. The wind bit at his face as he carried her back to the outpost. Twice, he felt her tense in his arms, like she was fighting the urge to resist. By the time he reached the medbay, her breathing had slowed dangerously. Inside, warm light and clean air replaced the chaos of the storm. He laid her on the medical bed and activated the scanners. The holographic display above her body filled with data, and Marcus's eyes narrowed as he read the results. Her vital signs were unstable. Her body temperature was dropping. But the real shock was what the scanner showed in her lower abdomen: clusters of living tissue, shaped like the arms of an octopus, each one moving on its own. They weren't parasites. They were part of her. Marcus leaned closer to the display. The tentacles reacted to the scan's energy, curling tighter, almost like they were hiding. He'd never seen anything like it in all his years of studying alien biology. Suddenly, her hand shot out and grabbed his wrist. For someone so weak, her grip was strong. "No, study," she breathed, her eyes fierce despite the pain. "Not for humans." Dangerous. Marcus hesitated. His instinct as a scientist told him this was the discovery of a lifetime. But his instinct as a man told him she was more than just a case. She was alive, afraid, and alone. "You're safe here," he said quietly. "No one will hurt you." Her hand loosened, and she fell back into unconsciousness. Marcus quickly set up an IV line with a universal nutrient solution. He monitored her breathing, watching the strange movements in her abdomen slow, though they never stopped. Every now and then, one of the tentacle-like shapes pressed hard enough against her skin that he could see its outline, thin, flexible, and tipped with something that looked disturbingly like a hook. His mind raced with questions. Was this normal for her species? Was it an illness? Or was it something else entirely, something she was trying to keep hidden? Outside, the storm showed no sign of stopping. Marcus stayed by her side, adjusting the monitors and making sure she stayed warm. Every time the tentacles moved, he felt the same unsettling sense that whatever they were aware of him. Hours passed, and the room was quiet except for the soft hum of the machines. Then, just before dawn, her breathing changed. She stirred, her lips parting to form words. "They will come for me," she whispered, barely audible. Marcus leaned closer. "Who?" Her eyes opened again, and in that moment, he saw pure fear. "Hunters," she said. Before her eyes closed again, Marcus sat back, the weight of her words sinking in. This wasn't just a medical mystery. It was a warning. Whoever or whatever was after her, they weren't far. And now, they would come here. Marcus didn't sleep. He stayed by the alien girl's side, checking her vitals every few minutes. The strange movements in her lower abdomen never stopped. Sometimes the tentacles curled in slow, smooth waves, like they were resting. Other times, they twitched sharply, as if reacting to something unseen. By morning, the storm outside had calmed. But Marcus's mind was still in a storm of questions. He had scanned many alien species before creatures with wings, extra hearts, even translucent skin, but he had never seen living. Moving tentacles inside a humanoid body. When she finally stirred, her eyes opened slowly, adjusting to the medbay light. She looked around with quick, alert glances before her gaze landed on him. "You are human," she said, her voice low but steadier than before. "That's right," Marcus replied. "I'm a xenobiologist. My job is to help beings like you." Her brow furrowed, and she shifted slightly, wincing as her hand instinctively covered her abdomen. "You should not look inside me." Marcus pulled up the scanner display again, its soft blue light casting a glow over the bed. "You were dying when I found you. I had to scan you to keep you alive." Her eyes darkened. "Those inside me, they are not for human eyes. They are private, sacred." Marcus leaned forward, his voice calm but firm. "Then help me understand. Because what I see is not normal movement. It could be dangerous to you." For a moment, she stayed silent, her fingers gripping the blanket tightly. Finally, she whispered, "They are part of me. But also, they are not me." Marcus's stomach tightened. "Explain." She took a deep breath, her chest rising slowly. "My people. We live in the deep oceans of my home world. Our bodies grow these appendages when we reach maturity. They are alive. They can sense. They can choose. Choose what?" Marcus asked, her eyes flicked to his, a mix of shame and warning. "A mate, a carrier, a protector." Marcus blinked, the meaning hitting him like a weight. "Ali, they're reproductive organs." She nodded slowly, but then her expression turned troubled. "But mine, they are not acting as they should. They are restless, always moving, always reaching." Marcus frowned at the monitor. Could it be an infection? A mutation? Her lips pressed together. "No, it is worse. Someone has altered them." The words sank into Marcus's mind like cold water. "Altered." She hesitated, as if deciding whether to trust him. Then, in a voice so quiet, it was almost lost in the hum of the medbay, she said, "There are people who take my kind. They change us, make us breed faster, make our bodies more useful. I escaped before they could finish, but—" Her voice trailed off. Marcus felt an uncomfortable knot forming in his chest. He'd heard rumors of illegal genetic experiments in the outer colonies. But seeing the results, seeing her made it real, in a way reports never could. "Who did this to you?" he asked, her gaze dropped to the floor. "Hunters, traders, they call themselves collectors." To them, we are not people. We are rare animals. Marcus straightened, a quiet anger in his voice. Then we need to get you somewhere safe. She shook her head. No place is safe. They always find us. They can track the chemicals my body releases. Even now, they may be near. As if her words were a trigger, the medbay console beeped long-range sensors detecting a faint energy signature. Approaching the planet, Marcus turned to the display. A ship was coming out of hyperspace. Its signal was unfamiliar, but its trajectory was direct-to-direct. "They've found you," he murmured. The alien girl's eyes widened, her breathing quickening. "You must let me leave. If I stay, they will kill you too." Marcus shook his head. "If you go out there in your condition, you won't survive the hour. And I'm not letting them take you." She looked at him like she couldn't decide whether he was brave or foolish. "Humans always think they can fight. You do not know them." Marcus ignored her warning for now and checked the security systems. The outpost wasn't built for combat, but it had a few defensive protocols. He activated the perimeter shielding and sent a silent distress signal to the nearest patrol station. Meanwhile, he returned to her side. "They can track your chemicals. Maybe I can mask them. I'll need to know exactly how your tentacles work." Her jaw tightened. "I told you they are private." "I'm not asking to violate your trust," Marcus said carefully. "I'm asking to save your life." She stared at him for a long time. Finally, she gave a small nod. "I will tell you, but you must promise. No record, no sharing. You. Keep this in your mind only." "I promise," Marcus said without hesitation. She took a slow breath, then began to explain in simple, guarded words how her tentacles could sense chemical markers in other beings, how they could attach and even merge temporarily, sharing fluids and genetic material. Marcus listened closely, realizing the incredible complexity behind the movements he'd seen on the scanner. But there was something else every time she spoke of them. The tentacles moved more, almost as if they were aware she was talking about them. One of them pressed so hard against her skin that Marcus could see its hooked tip through the thin layer of flesh. He stepped back, uneasy. These weren't just organs. They were aware. Before he could ask more, the console beeped again this time, louder. The ship was entering the atmosphere. The girl's voice dropped to a whisper. "They are here." Marcus looked at her, then at the door. His choice was made. "We hide you," he said. "And this time, they won't find you." Marcus moved quickly, shutting down the medbay lights until only the soft red emergency glow remained. The alien girl sat on the edge of the bed, clutching the blanket tightly around her body. Her eyes followed him as he gathered portable medical gear and sealed it into a waterproof case. "You can't stay here," he said, voice low but urgent. "The medbay is the first place they'll search. We need to hide you somewhere they won't think to look." "Where?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Marcus glanced at the structural map of the outpost. "There's an old research wing on the lower level. It used to study aquatic life from this planet's oceans. Half of it is flooded now, too dangerous for regular crew. But for you," he paused, meeting her eyes, "it might be the perfect place." Her expression was unreadable, but she gave a small nod. "I can swim." Marcus helped her stand, careful to avoid touching her abdomen. Her movements were slow and unsteady, but she didn't complain. As they left the medbay, the tentacles under her skin seemed to shift more rapidly, like they were restless. Sensing danger nearby, the corridors of the outpost were silent, except for the distant rumble of the ship entering the atmosphere. Marcus knew they had minutes before the hunters landed. They reached the access hatch to the lower research wing. Marcus pulled it open, revealing a staircase leading down into dim, humid air. The sound of slow water movement echoed from below. The girl hesitated at the top of the stairs. "This place smells of salt and metal." "It's the tanks," Marcus said. "They're still holding seawater from old studies. You'll be able to hide beneath the surface." As they descended, the temperature dropped. The hallway at the bottom was half submerged in clear, still water. The walls were covered in green algae, and the light shimmered across the surface like broken glass. Marcus led her to the largest tank chamber. Massive viewing windows looked into a deep pool, its bottom fading into darkness. "This is your hiding place," he said. "No scanners will penetrate that depth, and the old pumps will mask your heat signature." The girl stepped forward, her bare feet touching the water. A strange calm seemed to come over her, and Marcus realized she was more at home here than anywhere on land. "Will you stay close?" she asked suddenly, her voice softer now. "I can't," Marcus said, shaking his head. "I have to delay them, make them search other places first. But I'll come back for you." Her eyes locked on his, searching for truth in his words. Finally, she nodded and waded deeper into the water. As it reached her waist, the tentacles under her skin began to move more fluidly, as if they were stretching after a long confinement. The movement was hypnotic and unsettling at the same time. Marcus forced himself to look away. "You'll be safe here. Stay quiet, stay under, and don't come up until I give the signal." Before she submerged completely, she said one more thing. "If they catch me, they will use my body. And if they do, I will not be myself anymore." Marcus swallowed hard. "That won't happen." She slipped beneath the water without another word. In seconds, she vanished into the dark, leaving only ripples on the surface. Marcus closed the chamber door and locked it from the outside. Then he moved fast, heading for the docking bay. The outpost's sensors showed the hunter ship landing just outside the perimeter. Through the small observation port, he saw its leak, black, built for speed. Its hull bore no markings, but Marcus didn't need an ID tag to know who they were. The collectors. The ship's hatch opened, and 3 figures stepped out. They were tall, their armor a dull silver that reflected the cold light. Their helmets were smooth and featureless, and each carried a scanning device shaped like a claw. Marcus activated the outpost's security speakers. "This is a private research station. State your business." The lead hunter's voice came through the smooth, confident. "We are searching for stolen property. Female, aquatic species. Recently injured. We have reason to believe she is here." "She's not here." Marcus lied easily. "You're wasting your time. Lee will see," the hunter replied. They entered the outpost without asking permission. Marcus deliberately led them through the upper levels, showing them empty labs and unused storage rooms. All the while, he kept the lower research wing locked in the system. But the hunters were thorough. One of them paused near a vent, scanning the air. "Trace chemical marker detected," they said flatly. Marcus's heart tightened. The scent trail from the girl's body chemicals must still linger. He had to divert them fast. That came from the medbay. They had a specimen brought in earlier from the shoreline, a dead one. "I've already disposed of it." The lead hunter tilted their helmet slightly, as if studying Marcus. "You seem very sure of yourself, human." "I'm a scientist," Marcus replied evenly, "not a smuggler." The hunter said nothing, but Marcus could feel their suspicion. They continued searching, but for now, they hadn't found the flooded chamber. Back in the tank room far below, the alien girl floated in the dark water. Her tentacles moved slowly now, sensing the vibrations of footsteps above. She held her breath, sinking deeper, her eyes open in the cold blackness. She knew the hunters were close. She also knew that if they entered this room, she would have to decide stay hidden or use her tentacles the way they were meant to be used. The hunters moved like machines, silent, precise, and without hesitation. Marcus kept leading them through the outpost, trying to stay casual while counting every second in his head. Each passing moment was a moment she could remain hidden. But he knew the truth, that if they searched long enough, they would find the flooded chamber. And then, one of the hunters stopped suddenly and looked at their wrist scanner. "Chemical reading is stronger here," the voice said through the comm. Marcus felt a cold knot in his chest. They were close, too close. "That's the hydroponics lab," he said quickly. "The plants here give off complex organic scents. It could interfere with your readings." The lead hunter didn't reply. Instead, they moved past him toward the sealed lower-level access. Marcus's hand tightened into a fist. "You can't go down there," he said firmly. "The lower wing is unstable and flooded. It's not safe." "Then you go first," the lead hunter replied flatly. Marcus's mind raced. If he refused, they'd know something was wrong. If he agreed, he'd be leading them straight to her. He tried to stall. "Fine, but I need to power up the pumps for safe access." He turned to the control panel and began tapping commands. To open the wing, but to trigger a false structural alert. The screen flashed red. "Floodgate lockdown hull breach detected." The hunters exchanged quick glances. This section could collapse. Marcus nodded. Any disturbance could make it worse. The lead hunter stared at him for a long moment, then spoke to the others. "We searched the surface levels first." Marcus felt a small wave of relief. But it didn't last. As they moved away, one of the hunters lingered behind, scanning the air again. "The scent trail is fresh. She's close." Far below, in the flooded chamber, the alien girl floated in near darkness. Her body swayed with the water's gentle motion, but her mind was sharp, listening to every muffled sound from above. The tentacles under her skin moved with a slow, deliberate rhythm, tasting the water for signs of danger. Then, they stiffened. Something in the vibrations told her the hunters were not far. Her tentacles pushed harder against her skin, aching to break free. She placed her hands over her abdomen, whispering softly in her own language a chant to keep them calm. But she knew they were more than organs. They had instincts, urges, and a will of their own. She remembered the time before she escaped how the collectors had tampered with her body, how they had forced the tentacles to grow stronger, faster, more aggressive. She had fled before they could use her in their breeding program, but the changes? They had stayed. And now, in this moment of threat, the tentacles wanted blood. Marcus led the hunters into the equipment storage bay, keeping his voice calm. "Check all you want here. You won't find her. We will search every cell, every vent, every water pipe, if we must," the lead hunter replied. Marcus stayed silent, but inside, his thoughts were a rapid-fire plan. He needed them gone before they grew too suspicious. He just had to find a way to make them leave without heading downstairs. Then the outpost's motion sensors pinged something had moved in the lower level. Marcus's blood ran cold. The hunters noticed too. The one in the rear lifted their scanner. Movement detected. Lower wing. "Probably the pumps," Marcus said quickly. "They kick on when," but the lead hunter cut him off. "Open it." Down in the flooded chamber, the alien girl pressed herself deeper into the shadows of the pool. She could feel the faint hum of the security door unlocking. Her heart beat faster, and so did the motion of her tentacles. The first shadow appeared at the doorway, a tall figure, armored, scanning the room. The girl held her breath, sinking until only her eyes were above water. The hunter's scanner flickered, trying to read through the liquid. For a moment, it seemed they might turn away. But then, the scanner beeped, detecting a faint life sign. The hunter stepped closer to the edge of the pool, and that was when her tentacles moved on. Their own. They surged from her abdomen, sliding through her skin like water through cracks, fanning out beneath the surface. They weren't large, but they were fast, flexible, and disturbingly precise. One tentacle brushed the hunter's leg, testing. The hunter stiffened. Another looped lightly around the ankle, then yanked hard. The armored figure hit the water with a splash. The alien girl's eyes flashed not with fear, but with something almost primal. The tentacles wrapped around the hunter's body, locking joints, pulling them deeper. The hunter struggled, thrashing in the water, but every movement only let the tentacles tighten their grip. Marcus heard the splash over the cum. What happened? He demanded, stepping toward the lower wing entrance. Contact. The hunter's voice came through, distorted by water. She's the transmission cut off. The lead hunter drew a weapon. Seal the exits. She's here. Marcus's chest tightened. This was bad, very bad. The girl's secret would be fully exposed now. But he also knew if the hunters tried to take her, they wouldn't live to succeed. In the pool, bubbles rose violently as the tentacles dragged the hunter deeper into the dark. The girl's face remained above water, her breathing steady, her expression unreadable. When the struggle finally stopped, she loosened her grip and let the limp body float to the surface. She turned toward the doorway. Sensing more footsteps coming, her tentacles twitched eagerly, tasting the water for the next target. She hated them for what they'd been made to do. But she hated the hunters more, and if they wanted her, they would have to face what the collectors had created. Water dripped steadily from the ceiling as Marcus descended the metal stairs to the flooded chamber. His heart pounded against his ribs. The hunters were already inside, their weapons drawn, scanning every shadow. One of them was missing. No doubt the one who had gone into the water first. The lead hunter turned sharply when Marcus appeared. "Human, you lied to us. She is here." Marcus kept his voice steady. "You're making a mistake. She's not what you think. She is property," the hunter said coldly. "Valuable property. Step aside." Marcus's jaw tightened. "She's alive, she's a person. And she's under my protection." The hunter raised their weapon. "Then you will die protecting her." Beneath the water, the alien girl floated in the shadows. Her body still, and her tentacles drifting slowly like ribbons in a current. She had heard everything, and she knew if Marcus died, there would be no one left to shield her from the collectors. Her tentacles flexed, each one twitching like it could smell the danger. They wanted to act, they wanted to strike, but she waited. The second hunter stepped to the edge of the pool, peering down. Their scanner flickered with the faint signal of her heartbeat. "She's deep," the voice muttered through the comm. They didn't realize how close she actually was. Marcus took a slow step forward, trying to block their view. "You don't know what she's been through. She's not just valuable to you, she's dangerous to everyone. Let me treat her and send her somewhere far from here." The lead hunter tilted their helmet. "You think you can hide her from us? I already have," Marcus said. It was a gamble. He was trying to make them doubt themselves, but the hunters didn't flinch. Instead, they moved to the controls by the wall and began unlocking the floodgate valves. Water would drain from the chamber in less than a minute. Once it was gone, she'd be exposed, helpless. Marcus's eyes darted toward the pool. "No," he whispered. Under the surface, the alien girl saw the shadows of the hunters above her. She understood their plan immediately. If the water was gone, she would be trapped like prey. Her tentacles curled inward for a moment, then lashed out. One shot upward, wrapping around the wrist of the hunter at the edge. Another hooked their knee and pulled sharply. The armored figure splashed into the pool. Sinking fast, the third tentacle grabbed the weapon and yanked it away, sending it clattering into the water. The lead hunter cursed and stepped back, shouting. Into the cum, engaged target. Marcus acted before they could. He lunged at the lead hunter, grabbing their weapon arm and forcing it upward. The shot went wide, striking the ceiling in a burst of sparks. "Run the sequence." The other hunter yelled, still fighting the tentacles in the water. Marcus slammed the lead hunter into the wall, using all his weight. The armored figure staggered, but didn't fall. They were stronger than he expected. From the pool, bubbles exploded upward as the second hunter struggled, thrashing in the girl's grip. But the tentacles were too fast wrapping around their torso, binding their limbs, dragging them deeper. The water turned dark as shadows writhed beneath the surface. The lead hunter shoved Marcus back and aimed again at the pool. "Stand aside." "No." Marcus roared, slamming his hand onto the emergency panel. The thick metal shutters over the viewing glass slammed down, sealing off the pool from outside fire. "You're interfering with official retrieval." The hunter growled. "You mean kidnapping?" Marcus snapped. For a moment, the room was filled with the sound of rushing water and distant mechanical groans. Then, silence. The pool's surface went still. Marcus's breath caught. "What did you do to her?" The lead hunter demanded, scanning the water. But before either of them could react, something surged upward from the depths. It wasn't just hurt, it was her and the tentacles, moving as one. They burst from the water, wrapping around the lead hunter's arm and chest. The force was incredible, pulling the armored figure toward the pool. Marcus stepped back instinctively as he saw the tentacles in full view for the first time. Slick, glistening, each lined with small, gripping hooks. They weren't mindless. They moved like they had a strategy. The lead hunter fought back, but the hooks dug into their armor, pulling them closer and closer to the water's edge. In that moment, Marcus understood the truth. Her tentacles were not just defensive. They were weapons, and she had been holding back until now. The hunter's boots scraped against the wet floor, their balance failing. Then the girl yanked hard, and the armored figure was pulled into the pool with a heavy splash. The water exploded, with motion, waves crashing against the tank walls as she dragged them down. Marcus knew he had to decide: help her or stop her. But before he could move, the girl surfaced, her chest rising and falling with heavy breaths. The water around her was still now, except for the faint ripples from her tentacles slowly retreating under her skin. "They are gone," she said simply, her voice calm. Marcus stared at her. "You killed them." Her gaze was steady. "They would have killed us." He didn't argue. She was right. But deep inside, he also knew she was far more dangerous than he had. The chamber was silent except for the gentle slosh of water against the tank walls. The bodies of the hunters were gone, dragged to the dark bottom where the girl had released them. Marcus stood on the platform, his chest still tight from what he had witnessed. She swam slowly to the edge, her wet hair clinging to her face. Her eyes were calm now, but there was a strange heaviness in them. "They will send more," she said simply. Marcus knelt down beside the tank. "Then, we don't have much time." The girl tilted her head. "To run." "To study you, Marcus," replied Dot, realized. Her brows drew together in suspicion. "You still want to?" "Study, yes," Marcus said firmly. "But not to hurt you, to help you. Those tentacles, they aren't stable. They keep moving even when you're at rest. That means your body is overproducing nerve signals. If I can regulate that, I might be able to stop them from reacting so violently. And if I can stop that, I can hide your chemical trail. They won't be able to track you." She floated silently for a moment, her gaze searching his face. Finally, she gave a slow nod. "But you must remember your promise. No one else knows." "I remember," Marcus said. They moved quickly to the med bay. Marcus helped her onto the diagnostic bed, but this time she did not flinch when he began scanning her abdomen. The holographic display lit up, showing the complex network inside her muscles. nerve bundles, and the coiled, restless tentacles. Marcus leaned closer, adjusting the scanner's filters. He could see small nodes along the tentacles' base clusters, of cells pulsing faintly with light. He realized these weren't just muscle tissue. They were bioreactors, producing chemicals in real time. The girl watched his face carefully. "You see it now," she said. Marcus nodded slowly. "Those nodes. They're making something, a fluid. It is called the seed water," she explained softly. "It is life-giving. To my people, it is what joins one life to another." Marcus's eyes narrowed. "Life-giving, you mean? It can heal." She hesitated, then nodded again. "Yes, even humans, maybe. It can close wounds, grow new flesh, fix broken nerves. But," she trailed off. "But what?" Marcus pressed. "It can also control," she said. "Placed inside another, the tentacles will know them. They will belong to me. That is why the collectors wanted me." Marcus sat back, absorbing her words. What she carried inside her wasn't just Retta, was galaxy-changing. If weaponized, it could create an army bound to one master. But if used right, it could save millions. He forced his mind back to the immediate problem. These nodes. They're overactive. I can design a serum to calm them. It won't remove the tentacles, but it should let you control them instead of them controlling you. She met his eyes again. "Then do it. Before more come." Marcus worked for hours, pulling samples from her blood, isolating the neurochemical signals. The girl sat quietly, watching him with those deep blue eyes that never seemed to blink for. Long dot at one point, she spoke softly. "You do not fear me anymore. I'm too busy to be afraid," Marcus replied without looking up. "Fear doesn't help solve problems." She tilted her head, studying him. "Most humans would not sit this close to me. Not after seeing what I did to the hunters." Marcus stopped for a moment and met her gaze. "I've seen worse things, done by people without tentacles. You're not a monster. You just have something dangerous inside you. That's not your fault." Something in her expression softened. By the third hour, Marcus had a formula ready, a clear blue serum that shimmered faintly in the light. "This should work," he said. "It'll calm the neural firing in your tentacles and mask your chemical scent for about 3 days. That should be enough time to get you somewhere safe." She looked at the syringe in his hand. "It will hurt, maybe a little," Marcus admitted, "but I'll be careful." She didn't move as he injected the serum into the main artery near her hip. Her face stayed calm, but her fingers gripped the edge of the bed tightly. Within seconds, the restless motion under her skin slowed. Marcus watched the scanner. "It's working. Activity is dropping by 40%, 50, 60. The girl let out a slow breath. "It feels quiet," she whispered. "I have not felt this in years." Marcus smiled faintly. "Good. That means we're on the right track." The relief didn't last. The outpost's alarm suddenly blared, a deep, urgent tone that rattled the walls. Marcus's console lit up with new readings, a larger ship entering the atmosphere. The girl's calm expression vanished. "That is not a patrol ship." Marcus glanced at the incoming data. The signature was bigger, faster, and far more dangerous than the first hunter's craft. He swore under his breath. "Reinforcements." She stood, her voice low and certain. "They will not leave without me. You must decide, give me to them, or run with me." Marcus stared at her, feeling the weight of the choice. Running with her meant abandoning the outpost, maybe never coming back. But staying meant death for both of them. And he had just learned. She carried something worth more than every credit in the galaxy. The sirens echoed through the outpost, a deep, mechanical wail that made every surface vibrate. The air felt heavier, as if the very walls knew what was coming. Marcus stood frozen for a moment, staring at the readings on his console. The incoming ship was massive, 3 times the size of the first hunter's craft. He moved with the slow, deliberate confidence of predators that had already cornered their prey. The alien girl stood in the center of the medbay, her posture tense but her eyes calm. "It is their command ship," she said quietly. "If they are here, they will not leave without me." Marcus's mind was a storm. He could already imagine the options the collectors might offer him: money, technology, protection in exchange for handing her over. But he also saw the truth. If she went with them, she would disappear forever, used and broken until there was nothing left of the person standing before him. "You have to decide," she said, her voice steady. "If you run with me, you will lose this place, you will lose your work, maybe even your life." Marcus looked at her, then at the serum vials he had just created. The thought struck him her biology was more than rare. It was hope. If it could heal, if it could rebuild nerves, it could change the future for billions. But in the wrong hands, it would enslave them. There was no real choice. "We're leaving," Marcus said firmly. They moved fast. Marcus grabbed a small pack and loaded it with the remaining serum, his research notes, and a portable scanner. The girl followed silently, her steps light but determined. The faint movement under her skin was slower now. The serum still doing its work. They reached the emergency hangar at the far end of the outpost. The small shuttle inside was old but functional, built for atmospheric escape and short-range jumps. Marcus began powering it up. The hum of the engines filled the hangar, a low sound that almost covered the distant thud of heavy boots approaching. "They are inside," the girl said, her head tilting slightly as if she could hear them through the walls. Marcus's fingers moved faster over the controls. "We just need 30 seconds." The hangar doors shuddered as the first blast hit them. Sparks rained from the ceiling. Marcus slammed the launch sequence button, and the shuttle systems lit up in full power. The girl stepped closer to the cockpit, her eyes narrowing. "If they breach before we launch, I will fight." Marcus glanced at her. "If you fight, you'll reveal what you are. They'll send even more after us." "Then you launch fast," she replied. The doors cracked open under a second blast. Through the gap, Marcus saw the silhouettes of armed figures in silver armor. Their movements were coordinated, like a single living weapon. The shuttle's engines roared. "Now!" Marcus shouted. The small craft shot forward, skimming past the half-broken hangar doors before the hunters could fully enter. Blaster fire followed them, red streaks flashing across the cockpit view. But Marcus swerved hard, the shots missing by meters. They broke through the thin clouds, the outpost shrinking beneath them. Above, the massive collector command ship loomed, like a shadow over the planet. "They'll send interceptors," Marcus said through clenched teeth. The girl's gaze stayed fixed on the forward view. "Then we go where they cannot follow." Marcus frowned. "And where's that?" Her lips curved into the faintest smile. "My home. Deep below an ocean they fear to enter." The command ship began launching smaller vessels, fast, sleek interceptors, built for pursuit. Marcus pushed the shuttle's engines to their limits, diving toward the planet's ocean surface. "They'll expect you to run to space," the girl said. "Good," Marcus replied. "Then they won't expect this." The shuttle hit the atmosphere's lower layers, the ocean glinting below like a sheet of dark glass. Marcus angled the craft down until the waves rushed up to meet them. The girl placed her hand on the console. "When we hit the water, let me lead." Before Marcus could ask what she meant, the shuttle slammed into the ocean, throwing up a massive plume. The craft shuddered, but the reinforced hull held. Water swallowed them whole, turning the cockpit view into shifting blue and black. The interceptors slowed, hovering just above the surface. Marcus watched them on the sensors. "They're not following," They won't, the girl said. The deep belongs to my kind. And to the tentacles they fear. Her voice carried no pride, only truth. Marcus steered the shuttle deeper, following the guidance she gave. Soon, the light from above faded entirely, replaced by the strange glow of underwater life. Tall structures rose from the seafloor, shaped like coral but metallic in color. "This is your home?" Akusa asked quietly. "One of them," she replied. "Few know it exists. You're the first human to see it." They landed in a natural underwater cavern, the shuttle settling gently onto a flat rock shelf. Marcus powered everything down. The silence almost unreal after the chaos of the last hours. The girl stepped to the hatch, but paused. "You saved me when you had no reason." Marcus met her gaze. "I didn't save you for a reward." "I know," she said softly. "That is why you deserve one." From the small pouch at her side, she produced a vial of clear, faintly glowing liquid. "Seed water, pure enough to heal a human from almost any wound. You may keep it or share it, but never sell it." Marcus took it carefully, understanding the trust behind the gift. "I'll protect it, like I protected you." She gave him one last look, then stepped out into the water, her form vanishing into the blue darkness. Marcus sat back in the cockpit, the vial warm in his hand. He knew the collectors would never stop searching. But now, they'd have to find both of them, and he had a feeling they never would.